Alright, what's up y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So I did film this earlier. I'm sorry this is going up so late, but yeah, the first time I filmed it I had lipstick on my teeth and I swear to God it drove me absolutely insane when I was editing it. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to redo the whole thing. I'm just gonna have to redo the whole thing. Just burn the whole thing down is basically what went through my mind when anyway, I couldn't not see it. So here I am once again. I'm sorry again this is going up so late, but technically it is, I'm on Pacific time and it's going up Pacific time, so it's still day 12, okay? So anyway, today is going to be kind of a failure tutorial. Well, I'm going to show you the failed tutorial and then I'm going to show you my attempt at redeeming it with another palette. But I attempted to resurrect the Sugar Pill Edward Scissorhands palette and I failed miserably, and here's why. And yes, this just is launching us into another discussion on why you shouldn't buy every single palette that comes out just because it's a limited edition. For instance, I have an expired eyeshadow palette on my hands. And, you know, you hear people saying stuff. You hear people preaching, it's going to expire, it's going to expire, it's decluttered, it's decluttered. And I've had that experience with cream products, like more often than powder products. I'll have like cream products, like, you know, those little like paint pot things that whatever, that a bunch of brands have them, and eventually they'll start to crack and you can see them crack from the outside of the container that they're in, and so you know that they're like drying up and you can tell the consistency's off and just everything's weird about them and you know when to toss them out. But I not as often will have that same experience or a similar experience with powder products where the powder products go bad, because powder products tend to last a lot longer than cream products. They don't grow mold as easily. I mean, they all have preservatives in them just to prevent them from, like, you know, growing harmful bacteria. But the flaw that powder products have is, and I'm not like a makeup chemist, I'm not a chemist of any kind, I'm not even a freaking scientist, but I have this theory based on what I've read about like makeup formulations and such, that over time, like whatever binder is in powder products will start to kind of break down, just like everything else in life will start to break down over time. And it's going to expire and it's not going to hold itself together as well. Now, the first thing I noticed when I went in to use this palette, and I went to do a look that I've done with it a few other times before, I went straight into the coral shade, and as soon as my brush hit it, it started powdering up. It started like disintegrating into lots and lots of powder with just a tiny little brush, and you'll kind of see it when I do like my zoom in shot of like my brush touching the pan. You'll see all the powder that it's kicking up. I hate to say kicking up. Kick back. Anyway, it's just cringy to me. I'm just so sick of the makeup community lingo at this point. But I just like, I have no other words for it because those are like burned into my brain. Anyway, you'll see the powder that it starts to produce when I put my brush into it. And I was like, something's weird about this. Like the second I put my brush into it, I was like, this ain't right. So I pressed on. I kept on with the look. I continued my thought, you know. I took the coral shade into my crease like I've done a million times before, and I was like, this is going to work, this is going to work, this is going to work. But then I had a hard time getting it to stick to my crease, like to stick to my skin. It just wanted to flake off, and it didn't want to stick there. And I did the same exact thing I always do. I put concealer on my eyes. I set it with a little bit of powder, but not too much, you know, like same protocol as usual. And there was just something off about the formula. So, of course, I continued in with Castle on the Hill, which was this brown shade, and the same thing. Like, I've always had trouble with this one, but the most trouble I've ever had with it is the fact that it was really pigmented and hard to blend. So this time, on the other hand, it was like every time I touched it to my eyelid, it just blended away into nothing. And I was like, what the crap is happening? And then into Ice Angel, which is like my favorite shade in the palette, which was basically the reason I bought the palette, because I thought this shade was really unique when the palette came out. It's like the white shade that has that blue shift. I tried to use that the same way I've used it 1,000 times before, just on my finger, patting it on my eyelid. Then I wet it on a brush, or I wet a brush and use that. It just did not look right. And when I was like going back and looking at the footage didn't look as bad as it did in person. But at the same time, there was just something really off about that formula. And it kind of dawned on me, like, this freaking eyeshadow palette is old as shit. Like, I've had it since, crap, when did it come out? Like 2015? Like, it's been about 3 years, I want to say, because it came out around the fall about 3 years ago. And I remember it got hyped up on Instagram a lot. Everybody was freaking out about it because it was the 25th anniversary of Edward Scissorhands. I wanted the packaging more than anything because I mean, the packaging is really beautiful, and like it was nostalgic because Ed Scissorhands was like a movie that came out when I was in like middle school, and I loved it. And holy crap, was I really in middle school? Maybe I was in like 5th grade. But anyway, it was nostalgic for me, you know, and I thought I had to have it. And I had just gotten into makeup, and I was falling for all the hype of every single product. But I think that's like a lot of us back then, because that was right around the time that the makeup industry just really started to pick up and started to like crank out limited edition products, crank out all these products everybody was just falling for left and right. But now we're a little more aware of what's happening, I think. And I think makeup companies like know that. So I mean, that's a good thing, but still, I'm going to show you what happened. And that's not what's on my eyes right now. What's on my eyes right now is the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. I ended up going and using this palette because Spirit, which is the white shade in this palette, reminds me an awful lot of Ice Angel. And I'll compare the two for you real quick. So my instinct was like, grab that palette. You can still do the look you had in mind. Very, very similar. This one might be a little bit more blue, but you can tell how much more pigment and how much more shine that one has. So this is the one from the BH Cosmetics. This is the one from the Sugar Pill. And you can kind of see the Sugar Pill one, how it's just not wanting to hold together, how it's very powdery compared to this one. Yeah, there's just something off about it. It's not as shimmery as it used to be. It's not as good quality as it used to be. You know, it's falling apart. So, as to be expected. Which brings me to the point of this video. And I know you guys are probably getting sick of hearing me talk about, like, don't go buy everything. Don't go buy everything. But I'm not necessarily telling y'all not to go buy anything. I'm just telling you to use what you have. If that means not buying anything, then cool. If that means that you can use what you have and also buy other things, say you're one of those people that does their makeup once or twice a day, every single day of the week, I mean, cool. But you have to use what you have. Just because it's limited edition, and I've seen LS talk about this before on her channel. I think she may have dedicated an entire video to limited edition products, and if she did, I'll try and like dig it up and link it for you all, because she made a lot of really, really good points. But I experienced one of those in this video today as I was trying to do my makeup, and I noticed that my eyeshadow had freaking expired. It's not going to last forever. So that whole excuse would be like, I don't want to use it because it's limited edition. I don't want to use it. I need a backup. I need a backup. Oh my God. Like, I follow a few YouTubers who have to have a backup for every limited edition product that they fall in love with, without realizing that they're probably going to fall even deeper in love with another product down the line before they even get a chance to use the backup of whatever product they bought. So it's just one of those things, like, use it. Just because it's limited edition doesn't mean you can't use it. If you want to use it, use it. The way I do my makeup, I like use whatever palette I'm in the mood for. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I really want to use the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette, which is like always. That's the only palette I ever want to use anymore, is the freaking BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. But I use it. If I want to use it, if I feel compelled to use a certain palette, I'm going to use it, despite whether or not it's limited edition, because I kind of learned my lesson the hard way. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't use this because it was a limited edition. The reason I haven't used it that often is because there's really only 1 or 2 looks I can do with this that I really, really like, because for whatever reason, even though all of the colors look very different, this is just not a very versatile palette. Like, you can't get a whole lot of looks out of this palette. For one, Heart-Shaped Cookie is essentially pigmentless. Even on somebody like me who's pretty fair-skinned, this serves as just a blender outer shade. That's what I call it. Just where you take it in after and you kind of blend her out. I bought it because it was limited edition. Like, let's be real. If they still had this palette, would I have bought it to begin with? I don't even know. I just don't know. And I talked about that with the Sultry palette. Like, if I knew that Anastasia was going to keep that palette in stock, would I have bought it during the last VIB sale? Probably, I don't know. Like, I may ultimately have bought it, but I don't think I would have bought it right away. I think I would have thought about it longer. So while limited edition doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to immediately buy something because it's limited edition, because something's limited edition, I'm going to think about it less than I would another product I'm going to purchase. You know what I mean? Like, most of the things I purchase, I think about extensively before I buy them. But if it's limited edition, I won't buy it just because it's limited edition, but I'm also not going to have a lot of time to think about it. You feel me? Don't save your makeup for some special occasion. Do you know how many uses you're going to get out of each shade in any one of your palettes? A bazillion, okay? That's not a number. A lot. You're going to get a lot of freaking uses out of any one of the shades that you're in. And guess what? You're probably going to buy 40 more palettes before your other ones even have a chance to be used as much as they should be. So never prevent yourself from using something just because it's limited edition. I know a lot of people do this, and I know a lot of people don't. If you want to use your limited edition stuff, use your limited edition stuff. The more I say limited edition, the more it starts to sound like a band name. But I think I'm thinking of New Edition. Anyway, yeah. First I'm going to show you the difficulty I had getting a look together with the Edward Scissorhands palette. I'm going to show you how long it took me to try to blend it out and build up the pigment, which just did not work. And then I'm going to show you my take on the same look using the BH Causemetics Weekend Festival palette. The reason I use this is because I think this is the closest palette I have to some of the shades in the Ed Scissorhands palette, at least the ones I was using for the look I was doing. So I end up using Hippie, Spirit, and Hipster, just to mimic the look I was originally going for with the Ed Scissorhands palette. So yeah, anyway, well, sort of. I took a little bit of a different route the second time around just because I wanted it to be faster, because I had already filmed forever and I was like, oh crap, I need to make this second time around faster. But I kind of stuck to the same color scheme, just a little bit different color placement. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, y'all, I hope you like this tutorial. Please let me know in the comments. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber and you want to be, please hit the subscribe button on the way out. I will also link my Instagram in the description box if you would like to follow me on there, though I haven't posted on there in quite some time because I've been mainly focusing on my YouTube for the past, couple of weeks. But yeah, I'll also link my Patreon if you'd like to become a patron of mine. That would be awesome too. But aside from that, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.